Deputy Prime Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam and Mrs. Tharman, Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong and Mrs. Goh, President of NUS, Professor Tan Eng Chai, Mr. Peter Ho, the former head of the Civil Service, Dean of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, Professor Danny Kwa, Professor Tommy Koh, Special Advisor to IPS and my partner in controversy, friends and colleagues. Welcome to the celebration of IPS 30th anniversary. My colleagues at IPS and I are most grateful for your presence. I'd like to thank, in particular, ESM Go. I dare say ESM, there have been occasions in the past 30 years when you might have felt like denying your paternity, but you are IPS' only begetter. It was you who in 1987 proposed a policy think tank and brought the idea to fruition the next year. You have since been our patron, a title that we have not conferred on anyone else, despite your periodic pleas that we find someone else. I'm sure you will make the same plea again later, which again I will endeavor to forget to the 35th anniversary rolls around, or rather the 45th anniversary in 2033, when you'll be 92 and possibly Prime Minister again. Unlike the title Emeritus, which is conferred in recognition of your past contributions to Singapore, the title Patron is conferred in expectation of your future prospects. But ladies and gentlemen, ESM has been a constant support through the years to all 7 directors of IPS, from the first, Professor Chan Heng Chee, whom I'm very happy is here today. And now that ESM is also the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, his links to us are even closer. He has provided us with encouragement and valuable service and advice through the years and has become an even closer guide of late. We are grateful to you, ESM. When IPS was established in 1988, it was about the only think tank in Singapore. ISIS had already been established as a statutory body in 1968, but it wasn't a think tank as such. Since 1988, we have seen an explosion of research institutes and think tanks encompassing a wide array of subjects from foreign policy and security to water, city planning, and energy. This growth has been enormously beneficial to Singapore. But one result of this growth is that IPS has over the years focused its scope. In the early years, its ambit was virtually all of policy, foreign and security, as well as domestic. This broad ambit was reflected in the choice of our directors, 3 of whom, Heng Chee, Tommy, and Ong Keng Yong, came from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. With the growth of institutions like RSIS and EAI and numerous others, IPS quite naturally came to focus on domestic policy and governance. In particular, we have settled on 4 themes to anchor our policy research. Number 1, managing diversity, not only the familiar differences of race, language, and religion, but also other emergent fault lines like class and nationality. 2, income inequality and social mobility. 3, aging, considered not only as a problem, but also as an opportunity, and not only as a healthcare and retirement financing issue, but also as a cultural and political phenomena. And finally, 4, the governance of a city-state. In other words, the specificities of governing a country that happens also to be a city that is also a nation-state. Our 30th anniversary conference, Diversities, New and Old, is very much the product of our research priorities. It is fortuitous that we in Singapore have been speaking rather incessantly about income inequality and social mobility of late. But actually, we planned this conference more than a year ago. And indeed, the first major conference we devoted wholly to inequality took place 6 years ago in 2012. And as in 2012, we have DPM Tharman as our guest of honor tonight. Not least, I might add, because there is no more qualified person to speak on this subject in Singapore or the world, for that matter, than DPM Tharman. IPS exists today thanks to many. First, ESM, as I mentioned a while ago, and our first directors. There is also Lee Kuan Yew School, with which we merged 10 years ago. And of course, the larger extended family, that is the National University of Singapore, of which we are a part. It makes a tremendous difference that we are part of a world-class institution. There is also our funders, the government in the shape of PMO, and our numerous donors, some of whom we acknowledge here on the backdrop for their sponsorship of this conference. And finally, the people at IPS. Above all, Tommy Koh, our mentor, who personifies IPS, as well as our researchers and staff. It is my privilege to have led them these past few years, though I've done little more than appeared occasionally at such gatherings to thank all of you on their behalf, and on this occasion to invite ESM Go to address us. ESM, and more importantly, patron of IPS. Please.